Hello again and welcome. Today's video is going to be number 3 in the Beginner's Guide Revisited series, and today I'm going to be covering the parting tool. There are of course many different designs out there. I have a few in my armoury, so I'll be running through those with you and what I believe to be the best way to get the best from them. I'll go through the makeup of a few of them and their shapes and designs and what they are designed to do. So without further ado, I'll change the camera angle and we'll have a look at the parting tool. Now this parting tool I have here is called a diamond parting tool, and the reason for that is the bevel tapers back to the body, so your cutting edge here is 5mm and it tapers back to 2mm, and what that does, it negates the need to make a relief cut to stop binding, because binding can be quite a nasty experience as you're going down through the blank. So that makes it nice and easy, and the profile is there as you can see, and the angle of the bevel here is 25 degrees, or an included angle of 50 degrees, and all my parting tools have got the same angle because I find that works best for me. Obviously a bit of experimentation, etc., and you'll find which works best for you. So that's the diamond parting tool, and you find these in 99% of box sets that manufacturers offer as the design for the parting tool. The next design is what I call a standard parting tool, which has the same dimension from the cutting edge to the heel of the bevel. The thing with these is you have to be mindful of binding, so you have to create a what we call a relief cut, and that then gives a slightly wider curve which stops the binding happening. There are several ways of doing that. You can actually cut a very small wider curve, or you can literally wiggle it as you're going down. I'm exaggerating there to show it, or indeed you can move the tool back and forth like that. Again, I'm exaggerating, but that's the movement which just creates that bit of extra leeway for the blade to go to the center of the blank without binding. Now if you're doing boxes, etc., or any lidded vessel where you want grain matching up as tightly as possible, a thin parting tool is a really efficient and a very versatile addition to your armoury. Now again, the same profile, it's the same dimension at the cutting edge to the heel. This one is 2mm, which most thin parting tools are, and that obviously then takes away less wood than the 5mm, and then gives you a better chance of getting a good grain match when you're doing lids, as I say, on vessels or boxes. And again, a 25 degree bevel or a 50 degree included angle on the bevel. And lastly, the one I have here is what I call is called a beading and parting tool normally. This was actually an old Beading which I had, and I never got on with it, so I decided to make it into a beading and parting tool. Now this is 10mm across the bevel, across the width of the stock, and that is great for doing tenons, etc., and also you can use it for rounding over beads, etc., which I'll show you later on in the video. And lastly, what I have to offer, which I never use now, is a single-handed, if you like, parting tool. This is okay for small stuff when you haven't got to go too deep, maybe 2.5 inches. I wouldn't like to go further than that because you haven't got the stability with the handle at the end, but it's good for small parting off. And again, that is a 2mm wide piece of stock, and it's shaped that way. I did a bit of shaping on that when I first had it, and but at the business end here, it's got a 25 degree angle on the cut there. Now the basic technique for parting off is that when you start at the circumference, at the edge of the blank, your goal is to reach the center. So what I like to do is have the tool rest at a height where the blade is on the horizontal it's at the centre height or thereabouts, and then I will start the cut, and it's an arcing movement like so, down to the middle like that, not pushing in all the way in, but applying a slight bit of forward pressure and arcing. We have, like as I say, a piece of oak, fairly dry oak. There's a knot here, but we'll go through that. And the first tool I'm going to use is the diamond parting tool. And as I explained before, you want to get the tool rest height so you're just virtually on horizontal when you get to the middle. So I'm going to turn the lathe on, and the lathe speed for this is about 1300 revs. Okay, so you anchor the tool, ride the bevel, and this is just a straight parting off cut. Okay, lift the handle and light pressure in towards. Don't rush it, and bring our handle up in the same plane right the way through the cut. That knocking is the knot. Nearly there now. And off. And there you can see a nice clean cut. Little nibble there, which is not a problem. So no need to move the tool backwards and forwards or wiggle it, because it's clearing the chips and it's not binding against the side of the cut. When you do that method, as you can see here, it can get a bit raggedy. It's not too bad, but it's not really totally acceptable. So the way to overcome that is to go in first virtually on the horizontal and just make your cut, which will then define like so. So you're going in virtually just above centre. Now lift the front, lower the handle, start to ride the bevel, and then do the cut as you would normally. I'm not going to take that completely off because I want to show you how clean the entry is there compared to this. If I do the bevel, rub the bevel and lift the handle, you can see there the fuzzies. So you negate that if you employ that technique of starting down just above centre and then lowering the handle, lifting your cutting edge, and then start to cut through. Now I'm going to be using the what I call a standard parting tool with a 5mm width of blade, and as you can see the body is the same all the way down. So if I enter into, I won't put the res up too high, with the diamond parting tool I made that cut there. Now if I enter with this, I can already feel it grabbing on the side. Now not too much of a problem here because it's not a very wide blank, but what we'll have to do in that situation is either turn the revs back up again to about 1300 revs, either as I enter, as I'm going down, and hopefully the other camera will pick it up, if I do that sort of a motion, this sort of a motion, as I'm going through, it just starts to clear the way. And then when I make contact, keep doing that, and that's just clearing the way for the tool to do its job. And similarly, if we get rid of those fuzzies here, let's get rid of them, and bring this down to the same sort of size. Now, if I rub the bevel and go in, again, you can immediately see that it's creating torn torn wood. Just clean that up there and here. Now if I go in again just above centre, just to make that cut, you can see immediately, as with the other one, you've got a nice clean entry. And again, just make your way down. Now I can do that way, just wiggling the handle slightly, just to make that curve a little wider so the body doesn't catch. There we are, nice clean cut, and again no burning, because you are not putting too much pressure on them. Now I happen to prefer these. The other way of doing it, of course, is let's go in this way again. Go in at the middle, just above the centre. And then as you get further down, towards the middle, you can start to feel it just starting to grab a little bit. What you need to do is just make a little, very small relief cut, and then you can carry on. And you can see the small little shoulder here, which is where I made the relief cut. Now I just prefer these. I mean, it's a personal preference obviously, but that's just the way it is. Now you can also round over, even with this one you could use it if you wish. If you want to round over, rub the bevel, disengage and twist, you can round over the end there. And in fact you could almost use it as a narrow beading tool as well, just to round off those corners. Okay, the next one is the thin parting tool, which is 2mm along its width of the bevel. Now the reason these are a really good addition is that if you've got grain, the grain is fairly tight there, but if you can understand what I'm trying to say, again we'll make a start here and go in, and again I'll stop it so you can see a nice clean entry there. Now if you are again starts to bind a little bit, so either make the relief cut to allow you to complete the cut, but you can see how wide that is in comparison to the standard one. I'll put it right next door to it, look. That was a very good entry cut, was it? So you can see when you're doing wavy grain and you're doing a box lid or whatever, and you want the grain to match up as perfectly as possible, the thinner the kerf, the more likely you are to achieve that goal of having a really good grain matchup. And that's why the thin parting tool is great to have in your armoury. And finally, the what I would term standard size, if you like, beading and parting tool, and this, as I explained earlier on, I made out of the Beading, again 25 degree bevel angle. And with this one, mainly I use this if I'm making mortises, which I'll show you in a second. But again, with this one, if you're doing a cut, you're not going to use this to part off, it's too wide in my opinion. Okay, so if you just wanted to do a bead, and let's just get the thin parting tool and lower the tool rest a bit here, not carried away, so that's fine. And don't be afraid to make sure that you've got everything as you want it, he says. Okay, so let's just say we want to make a bead. Okay, so if we use this tool, just hold it up a little bit now because I'm not parting off with it. You can use it almost like a skew, and you can round over the edges there. I'm not an expert at this by any means, but you can see what you can do with it. And that makes quite a nice little job of doing that little bit of sanding, and away you go. So you could do that obviously with any of the parting tools. What I'll do is change the camera angle around now and just show you the mortise side of things, and then we'll be done. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you very briefly the mortise, and again the parting tool is great for that. Same sort of speed again, around 1300, and just have it on approximately centre point on the horizontal, and that pencil mark there is going to be where I want the mortise to start. Well, again, nice light cut. You can see a nice shaving coming off. Now you hear that juddering, that means I'm going too low, so lower the handle, and then just keep working your way down. Now if you tilt very slightly, so you're working with the edge a little bit, then you can move across and move towards the centre and just keep plunging in until you get the required depth. One other thing to note, to go a little bit deeper, if you want to do a dovetail, you could also do that with, just turn it slightly on its side and plunge in. And then you can level that off like so, or you can use your skew chisel, whatever. But if you want to do it a little quicker, if I use the 10mm, the beading and parting tool, as you will see, it obviously takes more stuff away quicker. So you can use that as well. Light cut to finish, you get a fairly good surface. Let's have a look. And as I say, with oak, and that's done a nice job. Well, I hope you newer turners found that of some interest. As I always say at the end of these videos, these are always my techniques, what I find works for me, and the more information that the newer turners can gather in can help them make an informed decision, and with experimentation they'll find the best thing that works for them. The parting tool is quite a versatile tool. It's not just for parting off. The most important thing I think to remember is the type of wood you're turning, whether it be softwood or a hardwood, and be mindful of the speed of the lathe and the speed of your ingress into the cut, because that will cause burning. Well, thanks very much indeed for watching. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below, and I will get round to answering them eventually, I promise you. And as I say, thanks very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.